It started on a rainy Thursday, one of those quiet days where nothing seems out of the ordinary, until everything changes. I was standing in line at the grocery store, flipping through my phone, half listening to the beeping sounds at the register, when I felt it. That strange sensation, like someone was watching me. You know that weird tug at the back of your neck that makes you turn around even when you're sure there's no one there? I turned. And there he was. 20 years. 20 years had passed since I last saw him, my ex. The one I loved so hard it hurt. The one who left without a real goodbye. My heart did this strange little skip, not the romantic kind, but the kind you get right before you fall or crash. He looked older, of course. Time had traced faint lines on his face, and his hair was speckled with gray, but he still carried that quiet intensity, like he could read a room without saying a word. But here's the part one can't get out of my head, he looked right through me. Like I wasn't even there. I didn't expect him to run up and hug me or even say hi. But not even a flicker of recognition? Not even a blink? It was like I was invisible. Just a stranger on the street. My breath caught in my throat. A million memories flashed through my mind, nights we stayed up talking about nothing, the way he used to laugh when I got dramatic, the promises we made when we were too young to know what they meant. And now? Nothing. I stood frozen, groceries in hand, trying to make sense of it. Was he pretending? Trying to avoid a scene? Had he really forgotten me? Or worse, did he remember and just not care? The moment passed quickly. He paid for his stuff, glanced around the store like he was looking for something, or someone, and then walked out the door, his face blank, his pace calm, as if he hadn't just turned my whole world upside down. I couldn't shake it. All day, his face haunted me. And not just because of who he used to be, but because of who he might have become. We hadn't parted on good terms, but we also hadn't had any kind of closure. Back then, he just left. No note. No call. I remember sitting on my bed, waiting for hours that turned into days, then weeks. I thought maybe something happened. Maybe he'd show up at my door with an apology or an explanation. But he never did. So why now? Why here? Why today? And the weirdest part? Later that night, I checked his name online. No trace. No social media. No mutual friends I could message. It was like he had vanished for the last 2 decades and only just reappeared in my little corner of the world, and then vanished again. Was it just a coincidence? Or was something else going on? I didn't know it yet, but that brief moment in the grocery store was only the beginning. A few days later, I'd find something in my mailbox, something that made it clear this wasn't random. And the truth behind his return, it would shake everything I thought I knew about the past. But that part of the story, I'll get to soon. First, let me tell you how it all began. Back then, 20 years ago, we were just 2 kids who thought love could fix everything. I was 21, working part-time at a bookstore and dreaming of writing novels. His name was Ryan, was the quiet guy who played guitar at open mic nights and always had this faraway look in his eyes, like he was chasing something no one else could see. We met at a friend's birthday party, and from that night on, we were inseparable. It wasn't just romance, it felt like we found a part of ourselves in each other. We used to say we were meant to find each other in this lifetime, and at the time, I believed that with my whole heart. But love at that age is fragile. We had our fights, sure, some small, some that kept us up all night. I was always asking questions, wanting more from him emotionally, and he was always pulling back, guarding parts of himself he never let me touch. He had secrets. I knew it then, but I thought if I just stayed long enough, loved him hard enough, he'd let me in. Then one day, he was just gone. No warning. No explanation. I called his phone 100 times. Went to his apartment. Even tracked down a few of his friends, but no one had answers. Or maybe they did and didn't want to tell me. Either way, he disappeared like he'd never existed. It took me years to get over it, and even now, I'm not sure I ever really did. You don't forget someone like Ryan, not when they leave that kind of space behind. So when I saw him at the store, that old wound cracked open again, raw and confusing. And then came the letter. 2 days after I saw him, a plain white envelope showed up in my mailbox. No name, no return address, just my name in neat handwriting. My hands were shaking when I opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. No greeting, no signature. Just a sentence, "There are things you were never supposed to know." That's it. I read it over and over, trying to make sense of it. The handwriting looked familiar, almost like his, but I couldn't be sure. I tried convincing myself it was a prank or some weird coincidence, but my gut told me otherwise. This wasn't random. The timing. The message. The way he looked right through me. It all had weight to it, like pieces of a puzzle I hadn't even started to solve. I couldn't focus on anything after that. I kept playing those old memories like a film stuck on rewind, his voice, his touch, the way he used to disappear for hours with no explanation even when we were together. There were red flags, I see that now. Times he'd flinch at questions, or avoid talking about his family, or get strangely quiet whenever I mentioned the future. But I thought he was just guarded, maybe broken in the way so many of us are. What if it was more than that? The questions started piling up. Why now, after all these years? What was I never supposed to know? What if something had happened back then, something he kept from me, something dangerous? I started to look around more. Watching faces. Checking corners. I know it sounds paranoid, but once you feel like a part of your past has come back to find you, you can't help but look over your shoulder. And deep down, I felt it, whatever Ryan was running from, it wasn't over. Not even close. After the letter, I tried to get back to normal, but everything felt off. Every sound outside made me look out the window. Every unknown number calling my phone made my chest tighten. I kept the letter hidden in the drawer next to my bed, folded neatly, like it was waiting for something. I didn't tell anyone. Part of me didn't want to seem crazy, and the other part, honestly, was afraid of what I might find out if I dug deeper. But I couldn't help myself. I went back to the grocery store a few days later, hoping maybe Ryan would show up again. He didn't. Instead, I noticed something else. The cashier, a younger guy I'd seen a few times before, paused when he saw me. Not the usual polite smile. This time he looked nervous. Like he recognized me, but didn't want to. I asked him if he remembered the man from the other day, described Ryan the best I could. The kid shifted uncomfortably, then said, "I think he asked about you." I felt like the air left my lungs. I pressed him for more, but he just shook his head. "He just asked your name. That's all I know." Then he turned and walked off like he wanted nothing more to do with me. That night, I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years, Hannah. She was my roommate back when Ryan and I were together. We'd lost touch after college, life pulling us in different directions. When I brought up his name, there was this long pause on the line. Then she said, "I always thought there was something off about him." She reminded me of something I had completely forgotten. One night, years ago, she had come home late and found Ryan in our apartment alone. I wasn't home. She said he was just standing in the dark kitchen, not moving, staring out the window. When she asked what he was doing, he didn't answer right away. Then he said something she never told me at the time, because it creeped her out. He said, "Some things are better left buried." I sat there holding the phone, her words bouncing around in my head. I started wondering, what exactly had I missed back then? What didn't I see because I didn't want to? Because love makes you blind, and memories get soft around the edges. Maybe this wasn't just about a breakup or unfinished feelings. Maybe there was a reason Ryan vanished. Maybe there was something he was protecting me from, or hiding from me. And maybe, whatever it was, it had finally caught up to both of us. I couldn't sleep after that call with Hannah. Her voice had that same uneasiness mine did, like we both felt something bigger was happening, something we didn't have the full picture of yet. I kept thinking about what Ryan said that night in the dark, some things are better left buried. Was he talking about something metaphorical, like our past? Or was it literal? That question stuck with me in a way I couldn't shake. The next morning, I found another note. This time, it was slid under my door. No envelope. Just a torn piece of paper that read, "Stop asking questions." My hands went cold. I looked through the peephole. Nothing. I checked the hallway, no one. Just the faint echo of a door slamming somewhere in the building. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just about an ex coming back. Someone was watching me. I started noticing other things too. A black car parked across the street 3 days in a row, engine running but never anyone getting out. My spare key, which I always kept taped inside a drawer, was gone. And my neighbor, an older woman I'd chatted with a few times, stopped talking to me completely. She used to wave every morning. Now she shut her blinds when she saw me. Everything felt like it was closing in. I went back through old photos, messages, anything from the time I was with Ryan, looking for clues. There were gaps, long stretches of time where I couldn't remember what he told me he was doing. A trip he said he took to see family, but I never met any of them. A friend he mentioned who might not have even existed. And then I found it, an old voicemail from an unknown number, saved by accident. A man's voice. Calm. Cold. And one sentence that made my stomach turn, "She doesn't know yet." I sat frozen, heart pounding. Who were they talking about? Me? What didn't I know? I didn't realize it then, but I was already in too deep. The past wasn't just knocking, it had broken in. And I was about to find out just how far Ryan had gone to keep certain secrets hidden. The next twist came when I least expected it, during a visit to the public library, of all places. I'd gone there just to clear my head, to sit somewhere quiet and figure out what my next move should be. But I found myself drawn to the archives section, flipping through old local newspapers without really knowing why. And then I saw it. It was a front-page article from 20 years ago. The headline didn't mean much at first, "Local man missing under mysterious circumstances." But when I looked at the photo, my blood ran cold. It wasn't Ryan, it was someone else. A man named Daniel Carver. I'd never heard the name before. But there, in the background of the photo taken at a vigil, was a blurry figure who looked exactly like Ryan. Same face. Same posture. Standing just far enough back to go unnoticed unless you were really looking. The article said Daniel was a college student who vanished without a trace. No suspects. No leads. Just gone. The date of the article? 2 weeks before Ryan left me. I took a photo of the article and left the library in a fog. Questions raced through my mind. What was Ryan doing at that vigil? Did he know Daniel? Why was his name never mentioned? I called Hannah again, told her what I found, and even she went quiet for a few seconds before saying, "That's the name. Daniel." I remember overhearing it once, Ryan talking on the phone, arguing with someone. Everything clicked, or started to. This wasn't just about our past relationship or some buried emotion. This was something bigger, deeper, possibly darker. Ryan wasn't just hiding from me. He was hiding something. And now, whatever it was, it had started to surface. I wasn't just being watched. I was being warned. And whoever was behind it wasn't just trying to scare me, they were trying to protect a secret someone had kept buried for 20 years. I finally found Ryan. He was at an old train yard on the edge of town, standing alone, just like in the photo from the vigil. I don't know how I knew to go there, some part instinct, some part desperation, but as soon as I saw him, I felt every part of me tighten. He looked tired, older than before, like he hadn't slept in weeks. When he saw me, he didn't run. He just nodded, like he'd been expecting this moment too. "I didn't mean for you to get dragged into this," he said quietly. I demanded answers. About Daniel. About the letters. About why he disappeared. He finally told me the truth. Daniel was his half-brother. They had the same father, a man with a dark past Ryan never talked about. 20 years ago, Daniel found out something he wasn't supposed to, about money laundering, people going missing, and a cover-up tied to their father's business. Days later, Daniel vanished. Ryan knew it wasn't random. He tried to expose it, but someone shut him down hard. That's when he ran. Left me, left everything, to keep me safe. The notes? The silence? It was all Ryan trying to protect the truth. But now someone else was tying up loose ends, and I had become one of them. Then came the twist. Before I could speak again, headlights lit up the yard. A black car rolled in. Ryan turned to me and said, "I never stopped watching out for you. But now you need to run." The door opened, and out stepped not a stranger, but Hannah. She looked at me, cold and steady. "I told you to stop asking questions." Everything I thought I knew shattered in that moment. Hannah walked toward me like she'd done 1,000 times before, but everything about her felt unfamiliar now. The same friend who once brought me coffee during breakups and helped me move apartments had been part of this all along. I stood frozen, trying to piece it together. Ryan stepped in front of me, shielding me instinctively. "She's not part of this," he said, his voice calm but firm. Hannah didn't flinch. "She is now," she replied. That night didn't end in violence. No guns, no chase. Just quiet words, traded like final warnings. Hannah had been working with Ryan's father's people the whole time. She'd kept an eye on me for years, just in case I started digging. The plan was to keep everything buried, including the truth about Daniel. But Ryan made a deal. One that would end it all. He agreed to disappear for good, no contact, no trace, if they let me go untouched. It was the only way. He looked at me one last time and said, "This was never supposed to touch you." "I'm sorry." Then he got into the car and was gone. I never saw him again. In the weeks that followed, I moved cities, changed jobs, and deleted every trace of the past I could. But the memories stayed. Not just of Ryan, but of everything I never really knew. The people we trust, the secrets they carry, the lies they hide behind smiles. Sometimes, I wonder what would have happened if I'd never gone to that grocery store. But I also know this: some stories don't get closure. Some just end with the truth left somewhere between silence and goodbye. And for me, that has to be enough. 3.